Real quick, guys, before we get into this theory, I wanted to give a shout out and a huge thank you to all of the people who have been supporting this channel by commenting, viewing, and subscribing. It has been greatly appreciated. It's taken me 1 year to get to 100 subscribers, and 2 weeks after hitting that goal, we managed to double it. Well, it's a little over a month after that point, and we've almost doubled again. So thank you guys so much for your subscribes. We're sitting at 355 at the time of recording this video, and we hope to make the YouTube Partner Program by the end of the year. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoy this Zelda theory. The Legend of Zelda. To those who have played multiple titles in the Zelda series, there is more to the story than just saving the day. There are reoccurring themes, enemies, and people in each game. None recur more, however, than the hero himself. The young hero, eternally bound to reincarnate whenever evil is nigh, is one of the central themes to the Legend of Zelda series. Though the hero always reincarnates as a young boy full of courage, not all incarnations are the same. Each has a different journey, path, and trial. Some, however, receive no trial at all. In each game, Link is either summoned, awakened, teleported, put to sleep, or directly challenged in some way, thus starting his adventure. Over the course of his adventure, the hero must gather mystical items, defeat enemies, obtain or forge a legendary blade, and confront the big bad. These elements remain constant across the Zelda franchise. However, one theme that seems to come and go is the presence of a personal trial. I first noticed the existence of this theme while playing through The Legend of Zelda: The Skyward Sword, and then again while playing through the HD remaster of The Wind Waker. In both games, Link must pass a personal trial set forth by the goddess Hylia or the gods themselves. It really got me thinking, wondering, and eventually researching, why must some incarnations pass a trial while others do not? That's our theory for today, so let's dive in. Let's start our analysis by categorizing the games based on whether a trial is visible or not. The games in which I could find no visible trial are the Minish Cap, Majora's Mask, Four Swords Adventures, the Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, the Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Link's Awakening, the Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and the original Legend of Zelda. The games in which a trial is visible are the Skyward Sword, the Wind Waker, A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, and Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. Has a theme already presented itself? If not, you're not alone. While there are hints at a theme already, unless you can recall the entirety of each of these stories, it is most likely still hidden. So let's further pick apart these games to find why a trial exists in some and not in others. Once again, we will start with the games in which no trial appears to be present. In close to chronological order, we will begin with The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. Link begins this journey by delivering a blade to Minister Potho, and chaos ensues when Vati, the winner of the tournament, is presented an opportunity to touch the legendary Picori blade. Vati instead breaks the blade, petrifies Zelda, and unleashes a chest full of demons upon Hyrule. Link is then tasked with reforging the Picori blade and capturing the demons now spread across the land. In this game, the Triforce is referenced in imagery, but not directly used, and the Master Sword does not make an appearance. Next up, we have The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. In this direct sequel to The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time, Link falls down the metaphorical rabbit hole and finds himself in an alternate world called Termina. In this impromptu quest, Link must use the Ocarina of Time to perpetually repeat a 3-day cycle to free 4 giant guardian deities, all to put a stop to Skull Kid's shenanigans in order to return to Hyrule. Moving to the next installment, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Four Swords Adventures. In this title, the hero Link must wield the Four Sword and battle it out with what seems to be a new character that shares the same name, Ganondorf. Ganondorf is defeated by Link along with Vati, and Ganondorf is left sealed within the Four Sword. In this installment, neither the Master Sword nor the Triforce is used. Swapping over to the adult timeline for a moment, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Phantom Hourglass. In this adventure, Link and Tetra are pulled into the world of the Ocean King by the ghost ship and must use their wits and courage to forge a sacred blade known as the Phantom Sword, a blade with the Phantom Hourglass built into its hilt. In this game, neither the Triforce nor the Master Sword is used. Ending out the adult timeline is The Legend of Zelda: The Spirit Tracks. In this title, Link wields the Locomo Sword and arrives before Malladus, defeating him in battle. Once again in this game, neither the Triforce nor the Master Sword is used. Moving into the Fallen Hero timeline, we have the Oracle Adventures, referred to in Hyrule Historia as the Trials of the Triforce. While the games are the Trials of the Triforce, no trial appears to be present. In the Oracle of Ages and the Oracle of Seasons, the hero from A Link to the Past is transported to the lands of Labrina and Holodrum, respectively. The Master Sword is not used in a single playthrough of the game, and instead only appears if the player has linked the counterpart game, a continuation of the story. The Triforce, however, is not directly used, though it is referenced. Next we have The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. This hero is also the same hero from A Link to the Past and the Oracle games. On the hero's return journey to Hyrule, he is waylaid by a storm that puts him to sleep and knocks him into the dream of the Windfish. Link eventually is successful in waking the Windfish and returns to the land of Hyrule. In this game, we once again have no reference to the Triforce, and the Master Sword is not present. So that's it, right? In order for the hero to be tested, the adventure must take place in Hyrule, use the Master Sword, and have the Triforce present. While that is a commonality between these games, but there are 3 more games that exist in the category of heroes that do not receive a direct trial. These, however, contain an exception to the previous games. First, we can look at the original adventure, The Legend of Zelda. In this title, the hero Link is asked to collect 8 pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom hidden across the land and defeat the evil Ganon, who currently holds the Triforce of Power. In this adventure, the Master Sword is not used. However, 2 pieces of the Triforce are present and obtained by the hero. Next, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time. In this adventure, our hero is summoned by the Deku Tree, gifted with the precious Kokiri Emerald, and sent trekking across Hyrule Field to Princess Zelda in Hyrule Castle. Link is then set to work obtaining the other spiritual stones, keys needed to open the Door of Time. Upon returning to Castle Town with the 3 stones, Link is given the last of the 4 keys, the Ocarina of Time. Link opens the Door of Time, draws the Master Sword, and is found worthy to wield it, but not old enough to take up the mantle. He wakes up 7 years in the future with only 1 sage remaining to guide him on his journey. Link must then awaken the 5 remaining sages, and once this is done, Ganondorf is defeated and sealed within the Sacred Realm by the collective power of the sages. In this, the Master Sword is used, and the Triforce that was intact is broken and distributed to Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf in the adult timeline. The last adventure in this category, and similar to that of Ocarina of Time, is The Legend of Zelda: The Twilight Princess. In this epic adventure, Link begins as a ranch hand in the village of Ordon. After a team of moblins bust in, club Link in the head, and carry away the children of the village for reasons I don't believe are actually explained during the course of the adventure, Link demonstrates his courage as he pursues the children to the Wall of Twilight before being forcefully pulled in. Once in the Twilight Zone, Link is protected when the mark of the Triforce appears upon his hand as he is transformed into a noble beast instead of a ghostly spirit. Link is guided by Midna as he collects the fused shadows and the pieces of the Mirror of Twilight. Link collects the Master Sword and uses it to best Ganondorf. The Triforce, however, does not directly appear. At this point, I do have to acknowledge a discrepancy I found in Hyrule Historia and the canon games before the haters start their hating. Hyrule Historia, page 115, right-hand margin, paragraph 1 states, the Ganondorf of this timeline, the child timeline, is able to do magic due to his possession of the Triforce of Power. While the mark of the Triforce is seen upon Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf's hands, they do not actually possess a piece of the Triforce, as it is still intact and presumed to be nestled safely in the Sacred Realm. Hyrule Historia contradicts itself within the same paragraph, as it also states that Ganondorf never entered the Sacred Realm, nor laid his hands upon the Triforce. Instead, This is a mark given by the Triforce to signify the bearer's role in the eternal struggle of hatred, a battle for the fate of Hyrule. Ganondorf also states inside Twilight Princess gameplay that he was chosen of the gods. That does not necessarily mean that he received a piece of the Triforce. Now, with all of that out of the way, we are finally able to move on to the games that do feature a trial. First up, and most obviously, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Skyward Sword. Link, summoned by Fi, the spirit of the goddess sword, draws the sacred blade. Link must then forge the goddess sword in Furore's, Din's, and Nehru's flames. In order to reach the 3 flames, Link must, however, pass 4 trials designed by the goddess Hylia to temper and test the young hero's spirit. In each trial, Link must collect sacred tears to fill his spirit vessel. With all that complete, Link eventually enters the Sky Keep, the final dungeon of the adventure. There he is able to collect the Triforce of Courage, the Triforce of Power, and the Triforce of Wisdom. With the Triforce complete, our young hero is able to make a wish for the demise to be eliminated in that time. As a result, the goddess statue and all of Skyloft descends down to the land below and buries the seal of demise in the earth. The Triforce remains intact at the end of the game, with the hero being worthy to use it. The next game in which our young hero receives a test or trial of the gods is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. In this adventure, the young hero of the winds must collect 3 pearls given to each of the 3 guardian deities, much like the spiritual stones of Ocarina of Time. These 3 pearls also act as keys. After placing all 3 pearls in their respective statue, the Tower of the Gods emerges from the ocean. This is where the young hero is tested by the gods. He must show forth his courage, use his wisdom, and display his power by defeating the boss of the temple. After completion of this task, Link must ring the bell atop the tower in order to open a portal to Hyrule below. Once there, he is able to draw the legendary blade, and upon doing so, the castle roars to life, and Link finds himself needing to slay many enemies in order to exit back to the surface. Link then ventures the Great Sea in search of the 2 sages whose prayers are needed to reawaken the Master Sword, and collects the 8 pieces of the Triforce of Courage. Once all this has been accomplished, Link returns to Hyrule, where he is recognized by Ganon as a hero of Time Reborn. Link's Triforce of Courage is subsequently taken from him when Ganondorf smacks him around, and with the Triforce complete, Ganon is caught monologuing as the King of Hyrule makes his wish instead. After the wish is made, the Triforce is seen separating and descending. Whether that is to the surface or back to the heavens, it is unknown. I will have a theory on that later though. However, Hyrule is drowned, Ganon is defeated, and Link returns to the surface alongside Zelda with a goal to find a new Hyrule. The Triforce is not seen or used for the rest of the timeline. Let's hop on over to the Fallen Hero timeline for the remaining 3 games. In chronological order, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. In this adventure, Link follows his uncle to the dungeon of Hyrule Castle to find that he has already fallen. After obtaining a sword and shield, Link is able to navigate through the castle to Zelda's location. Link is then instructed that he must gather the Pendant of Courage, the Pendant of Wisdom, and the Pendant of Power. In this adventure, the pendants do not act as mere keys as they do in the Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time. Instead, they themselves serve as a trial. These pendants are specifically hidden away in dungeons that must be conquered. Upon collecting the 3 pendants, Link is able to enter the Lost Woods and collect the Master Sword. After Link is successful in defeating Ganon, he finds himself in possession of the full and completed Triforce. Using its power, Link wishes for the Dark World and the world of Hyrule to return to normal. In that very same wish, he also asks that the king, the priest, and his uncle be revived as well. Along the same lines, and close to the same story, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. In this adventure, Zelda recognizes the young hero from a dream and gives him the Pendant of Courage. Link is then tasked to collect the other 2 Pendants of Virtue. In a similar fashion to A Link to the Past, our hero collects the 2 pendants from their respective dungeons. and proceeds to the Lost Woods, where he is able to obtain the Master Sword. Once again, these pendants do not act as mere keys, but serve as a trial. The 3 pendants of virtue, proof of the hero's worthiness and completion of his trial, are presented before the Master Sword prior to Link obtaining it. With the sages free and Link possessing the legendary blade as well as the Triforce of Courage, he returns to Hilda's throne room in Lorule to battle it out with Yuga, who is now in possession of 2 pieces of the Triforce. Yuga attempts to steal the Triforce of Courage from Link, but with the help of Princess Zelda, Link is able to defeat Yuga and complete the Triforce. Link and Zelda return to Hyrule and place their hands upon the Golden Relic, wishing for the Triforce of Lorule to be restored. The Triforce then remains intact until the events prior to The Legend of Zelda, whereupon the king divides the Triforce, giving a piece to his daughter Zelda and a piece to his son, while hiding the 3rd piece, the Triforce of Courage, away in the Great Palace. This brings us quite perfectly to the last game in the Fallen Hero timeline, The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. In this game, Link has already collected the fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom, thus completing it, and has earned himself the Triforce of Power by defeating Ganon in the previous game. In this direct sequel, Link embarks on a journey to retrieve the Triforce of Courage hidden within the Great Palace in order to reawaken Zelda the First. Once he has defeated the 7 Palace Guardians, Link is presented with one final challenge: his trial. Link must defeat his own shadow to prove that he is indeed worthy of using the full power of the complete Triforce. So, what do all these games have in common? Well, each of these games features a hero that at some point in his journey comes face to face with the full and complete Triforce. Of these great heroes, a total of 4 are believed to have actually made a wish, while all 5 had access to the ancient relic in its complete state. Those that have received no test, no trial, never obtained, or stood before the complete Triforce. I believe that the goddess Hylia, who is the goddess of time, could see through time and know the exact needs of each of her champions. She knew which heroes would need to be tested to ensure that their spirits were complete, whole, and balanced enough to utilize the full power of the Triforce for the good of the land of Hyrule. She influences her reincarnation Zelda to guide the people of Hyrule to set up these trials to ensure that when the time is necessary, her champion would be balanced enough to wield the full power of the Triforce. That is my theory. That is why some heroes receive trials while others do not. Thank you guys so much once again for taking the time to view this video. Your likes, your comments, and your subscribes mean the world to me as we try to reach 1,000 subscribers. I have loved being able to create YouTube videos and content centered around my favorite video games, and it is all possible thanks to you guys. I want to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark to join that YouTube partner program so that I can spend more time making great quality content for my community to view. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you all in the next video. If you want to be featured in the next video with credits for contributions to theories like these folks here, join the Discord in the link below. I will be asking the wonderful people of the Discord to brainstorm with me, point out potential flaws, and overall have polite lore-based conversations as I work on each new video and build a community. I've been Brasscoin. Thanks you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.